Hey, this is Teddy, and you are listening to the Horror Squad podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Horror Squad podcast, episode number 221, where tonight we will be reviewing Studio 666, the Foo Fighters' attempt at a horror movie. We are doing this one in memory of their drummer, Taylor Hawkins, who we sadly lost way too young and too soon. So rest in peace to him. We dedicate this episode in memory of him. So what's up, everyone? How was your week? We are Toddless tonight, I should mention as well, which is why I am taking over hosting duties this week. But yeah, so no Todd, but we will still be going strong. Lady and gentlemen, how are you guys doing tonight?
Not too shabby.
I'm actually doing really good. You know, I'm having one of those good weeks. So
I love that.
Ride the cloud while I can. I'm up for a really big promotion.
Oh, Steve, that's amazing.
Is a lot higher than I thought possible. So
wow.
We'll see what happens with that. We're just going through the government stupid paperwork and all that. It's a complex thing to do, but it's going through the motions, but at least it's moving. So that's really cool. And I've been spending a lot of time virtually.
That's right.
I'm starting to spend more time in my second life than my actual life. But it's been fun. So we've been golfing with Joe and checking out movies in virtual settings, which has been pretty cool. I watched part of The Last Exorcism in the woods, so it was really cool to.
Were you scared?
No, not at all. It's it's actually a pretty I don't remember who on the podcast didn't like that movie, but I thought from memory it's pretty good. Todd. Yeah.
I think Todd loves that one. Actually,
I thought someone didn't like it. I don't remember who.
Sure. No, I think we did. I think we all liked it. Yeah.
I think that one we all liked. Yeah. But yeah, me and Steve. Anyone that has an Oculus Quest, me and Steve playing some VR. So if anyone has one, send us a message. We love to play with you too. Walkabout Mini Golf has a cool little horror themed mini golf course, which was pretty fun. We played on, and Horizon Worlds has a bunch of different horror worlds that we've been exploring. So I tried the new Shining one, Steve. I wasn't impressed. So maybe, it was all right. I mean, it was all right. It was like Jack in the bathroom breaking through the door, and then there's a secret entrance that takes you to the maze, which at the very end of the maze, there's a killer snowman. And I'm like, why is there a killer snowman here? It has nothing to do with The Shining, but it wasn't anything great, but it was, it's fun.
Yeah. I mean, The Shining has killer hedges.
Yeah. In the new one, there's killer snowmen, right? I think the old one has killer snowmen.
Not the original film, but the movie.
Maybe the book.
I don't remember.
The made-for-TV movie.
Yeah, I remember the animal hedges had killer. I don't remember snowmen, but it's been
Okay, maybe I'm
No, I think you might be right. I feel like the made-for-TV movie might have had some snowmen going on in there. Maybe the not book too. I don't remember, but But Sam,
I feel like I remember seeing them, but anyway. If you guys do play, just make sure you don't bump into your collections. That's all I'm gonna say.
That's right.
Joe.
Yeah, I know. I did. I bumped into mine, and then I was playing Thrill of the Fight, which is a boxing game, and I threw a haymaker. I was trying to get a really good workout in, so I fucking threw a haymaker, and I took out Sam's coffee mugs. Luckily, none of them broke, but I had to redo my little Guardian setup after that because I was like, oh shit, I can't get too close again. But anyway, so also shout out to everyone over on our Discord for all the well wishes for Sam. Of course, she announced she's going to be leaving the show. For those of you who might have missed last week's episode, she has another couple weeks left with us, and then she will be kind of taking a spot in the background. She still, will be popping in maybe once in a while and maybe over on the Discord, but she will not be a regular on the show, sadly, anymore.
Yeah, I think I'm not convinced everyone necessarily believed us.
Yeah, right.
It happened to release on April Fools, so we're just, I guess, reconfirming it. But it's true.
It is true. But yeah, thanks for all the well wishes on the Discord. That was nice. I'm still getting messages on Instagram, people I've never talked to. They're like, please don't leave. Please reconsider. I'm like, aw, I keep like in the back of my mind, I'm like, I'll just change my mind. But I told Joe, he was like, you can change your mind. I was like, yeah, but if I change my mind and then I'm like, well, shit, I should have stayed with my decision. And then I'll have to announce that I'm leaving again. Like I would never want to do that. So I just got to stick. I just got to stick it, stick with this decision.
Mm-hmm. Well, you're always welcome back.
Everything in life is permanent. No.
No, it's not. And you're always welcome back, even if you decide, hey, I'll pop in for a few episodes and then pop back out and whatnot. So you're always welcome back. And in other news, on a more positive note, stay tuned. Some little inklings in the work of a possible event coming up, maybe early fall. So for you fans of the show, keep an eye out. It'll probably be once again in the Salem area like we did last year. Way too early to tell what's gonna exactly happen yet, but I've been talking with our friends over at the Crypt, which is a horror themed restaurant in Salem, that they haven't found a home yet, but they're still, they're working as a pop-up right now, but we're currently talking with them about possibly doing something in September, October. So stay tuned. We might have a guest. We might not. Don't know yet. But save the date, I guess, for somewhere around there. And hopefully we'll get you more details once things get finalized. But yeah.
All right.
All right.
Get questions?
Question. Yes.
Yeah. So you can ask us those questions on social media at the Horror Squad Podcast or on the Discord, where a ton of great conversations are happening at all times in there. It's been really active lately. So thank you everyone who's been in there and chatting and sharing all their horror stories and some non-horror stories, some cool food and all sorts of stuff in there. It's a great group. So just ask us and we'll send you the link and you can join in on the festivities. So the first question, actually, if you're listening to the episode, you'll notice a returning voice at the beginning intro. It's our little dude, Teddy, who's Chuck's little boy. And Teddy actually had a question which he sent in audio format. So Teddy, what is your question?
Sam, why are you leaving us?
Sam's leaving the podcast. Are you sad? He's shaking his head yes, but he can use his words. Are you sad?
Yes.
Are you going to miss her?
Yes.
Say thank you.
Thank you for being on the podcast for my daddy.
Thank you, buddy.
Aw, Teddy. Because Steve and Joe and Todd have kicked me off. They're just not being honest about it. I don't know. It's just bye. I don't know how to answer this. Just because, if I'm being honest, like I love doing it, but there's like 50% of me, like I want to do things with Halloween Happy. And I just want to like be able to dedicate more time to that, as much time as I can. And then also, I just don't feel like I have a lot to offer when it comes to giving reviews. So yeah, I just want to see where my time goes with dedicating more of that to Halloween Happy. I don't want to leave. I wish I could. I want to stay on, but I just, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you, Teddy.
Well, he's certainly going to miss you. I know Chuck's been talking about it. You were his favorite of the Horror Squad. So now that spot is up for grabs. So I will fight Joe and Todd to the death for it. So Teddy, remember who edited you into this episode? When you consider your new favorite.
It can be your favorite now, Teddy.
No, it'll always be Sam. Because when you pop back up, it'll be
back
to normal. All right. So speaking of Chuck, he has the next few questions. So Chuck, what are your questions?
What's up, Horror Squad? Minus Todd. Chuck here with a few questions. First question is, Steve, what is the most oddly specific Canadian horror movie you could recommend?
So this question is difficult because Canada is so meshed with the US that it's tough to decipher what exactly a Canadian horror film is, because are we talking about filmed in Canada? Because there's a ton of those, there's, a bunch of horror films filmed in Canada because you get bigger tax breaks and stuff like that. And the dollar is, easier to deal with and all that stuff. So is that a Canadian horror film? Not necessarily. Is it is it the producers that are Canadian? But again, there are a lot of producers that are Canadian that make American films. It's very complicated. So I'm going to go with the one that if you want to see what I guess is about Canada, then it would definitely be Tusk and Yoga Hosers, as much as I hate to admit it, just because they're really like about Canada. So that's probably the two I would recommend if you're looking for Canadian horror. But I mean, there's a ton. Ginger Snaps is Canadian, and The Changeling is Canadian, and there's a ton of them that are Canadian, but those are the two that come to mind. Do you guys have any that you know of that talk about Canada? Or
Yoga Hosers was the very first one that popped into my head. Yeah, but which I think is terrible though. I don't like that movie whatsoever, so I can't recommend it. I mean, there's a lot of great like Canadian like filmmakers and directors, but it, like you said, it's like, is it Canadian horror? Or, I mean, I guess so, right? I mean, they were born there, so they're making the movies. So, Hunter x Hunter comes to mind, actually, a great one from a couple years ago. I think that was filmed in Canada, and I believe the director is Canadian too. I could be wrong about that, but that's a hidden gem. So I would recommend that one.
Yeah,
I don't have any off the top of my head. Are You Afraid of the Dark, the series? And
there you go.
If you're looking for non-horror, check out Degrassi. All the generations.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, like I said, it's tough because of that reason, but I'm sure there's other stuff that I'm not thinking about. There are some big Canadian filmmakers that make American movies. So yeah. So, but yeah, I'm like with Joe. I hate Yoga Hosers. I think it's terrible. But Tusk is very good. So
Tusk is really good.
All right. What is your second question?
Second question, Joe. What is your beard routine, sir? I admire a fine beard as I have one myself, but I would like to know specifically your beard routine for a night like you're going out.
Lucky genes, I guess. I don't know. Although none of my family have beards, really. So like I'm really the only member of my family that grew out a beard. But I guess good genes in my family. But as far as what I do to upkeep it, I use like beard oils and beard wax. Usually I'll put, I'll do 6 drops of beard oil. I forget the kind. Sam buys them for me. I think she gets it at Target. But I also use I wish the beard wax that I use is actually really good. I'm sorry, I can't remember. If you really want to know, I'll send you a private message, Chuck, and I'll let you know the company that makes that, because it's a really good beard wax that I use as well. But other than that, that's it really. And then I just like comb it, here, although I didn't comb it today for the podcast, but yeah, that's about it really. And then just, I mean, I get it trimmed every time I go to the barber, maybe, once a month at the most. So just to, give it a little trim so it doesn't get too crazy. But yeah, that's about it. My barber wants me to like do the Monopoly guy, like, cause he's like, you have the perfect mustache to like curl it, but I'm like, I don't know if I can pull that off.
Yeah, to try it at least.
Yeah, right. I've never tried it.
Give it a shot.
Yeah.
And Chuck, a majestic beard in his own right. So
exactly. Yeah, definitely.
All right, Chuck, what is your last question?
Last question for me is, Sam Marella, what is the perfect nacho set? Is it tall nachos in layers, or is it wide nachos? What would be your perfect nacho? Just, you could make anything. Just give me that nacho recommendation.
I would say it has to be in the middle of those two. It can't be all loaded on top, because then it makes all the chips soggy and just really messy when you eat it. So I say somewhere in between, and the best combo toppings would be black beans, chopped up lettuce, tomatoes, onions, pickled jalapenos, sour cream, guac, salsa on the side so it doesn't get the nachos soggy. And I think that's it. Oh, queso. I always prefer queso rather than just melted shredded cheese, but both is fine.
What about you, Joe? You're a nacho guy too. What's your preference for nachos?
Yeah, I mean, Sam really turned me on to the nachos. I was never like a big, I mean, everyone loves nachos, but now since I've started dating Sam, I mean, we have nachos all the time now. Yeah, I mean, I think her combo is pretty perfect. It's all about not getting them soggy though, because like, man, it's just like the worst when you just get like soggy nachos like on the bottom. So layering is definitely important. You can't just throw everything on the top, because then you get all these chips on the bottom that don't have anything good on it. So
But I mean, if you do have all the dry chips, you can kind of make your own little thing, and then you have all those chips that aren't soggy too. So
That's true.
just depends, you know.
I kind of like the idea of just having the chips separate, and then you just like
Yeah,
kind of like
Mhm.
Is that what you said?
No, I
I'll leave
wish
that.
like anytime we
Yeah.
order them, I just always want to like get the cheese separate because that's what makes it soggy, I think.
Right.
Or if like we go to get like pick up food, I always make sure we pick it up like in a timely manner so the nachos aren't soggy by the time we get home.
Mhm.
All right. So thank you for the question, Chuck and Teddy, of course. Next
Steve
question.
doesn't like nachos.
Yeah, I mean, I don't eat them that often, to be honest. You know, I don't have a salmon in my life.
You don't eat them every day? Oh
No, I don't eat
gosh.
them every day. If I do, I'm very plain with it, just like the nachos and the cheese. Like I don't put
Oh yeah,
put
that
anything
too.
else, so.
Do you have like a guilty pleasure when it comes to food? Like what's something you wish you could eat all day, every day, but unfortunately you can't?
Oh, chicken wings. Like
Chicken wings?
chicken wings and wonton soup. If I could have those two things every single day, I would. So, all right. So next question is from Shaylin. She asks, have you guys ever thought about doing a top 5 most cringy lines of the year at your year end review?
That could be fun.
Never thought of it, but I like it. Yeah. I'm trying to think of any from this year already.
Oh,
I'm sure there's
I got one this year.
You got
Like,
some?
You do? Let's hear it.
I've just won, and it like it lives rent free in my mind because I think it's one of the worst lines in horror history, and that's I'm Sydney fucking Prescott.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm just like, what? Anyone who talks to them about themselves in the third person, unless it's like a joke, like The Rock, you know,
Yeah.
it's just I'm Sydney fucking Prescott. Like, come on, are you so high on yourself that it's just I don't know. That line really rubbed me the wrong way in Scream this year. So.
I feel like that was definitely, as you guys say it, for the fans. Like Sydney wouldn't have said that. Yeah. What about Evil Dies Tonight? Like one of the 5 million times that
would have been the top 5 right there last year.
Yeah. That would have been number 1 from last year, 100%.
Yeah. It's a good line, but fucking they used it so much in that movie that it
maybe like twice it would be great, but
right.
Or when he's like, he's an apex predator. He needs to be stopped.
I don't even know what that fucking means. Apex. I just think of the Predator and like Alien versus the Predator. I don't even know what apex means.
It's like top predator.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Like dominant.
Relax.
Yeah, like a dominant.
All right, Tommy Doyle. Apex. Ugh, come on.
Yeah, there was a lot of bad lines in that movie.
Actually, there's some bad lines in this movie. So today.
Yeah, well, yeah, but I feel like that was kind of intentional. But we'll get to it. But yeah, that's a good idea. I'm gonna have to start writing some down when I hear them.
Yeah, that's the thing is like for stuff like that, it's very specific, and I tend to forget. Like by the time we get to the year-end show, so I'd have to think about it in advance. So if I hear any, I'll definitely jot them down. Yeah. All right. Next question is from I think that's Asa. What music group / artist would you like to see make a horror film?
Good question. I mean, I guess like Slipknot would be fun because like they're already kind of like horror based and they got the creepy masks and stuff like that. So I feel like they could do something pretty gnarly.
I don't know. Does it have to be someone that's already spooky-ish?
Not necessarily.
No. I mean, rumor is The Weeknd's getting his own Halloween Horror Nights house.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, Foo Fighters just made a fucking like horror film, so that's
Foo Fighters aren't spooky either. Really.
All right.
That's true.
I don't know. I guess I'll be basic and say like Billie Eilish or Taylor Swift if I'm going the pop route.
All right.
I actually think Billie Eilish had a Halloween Horror Nights house last year, I believe.
Really?
Yeah.
So
I wasn't sure if that was like her house because I kept seeing all these photos of her as Sally, or maybe she performed. I don't know what the hell they do over at Disney, but she like performed as Sally for something. I don't know what it was, but I'm like, oh, that's fun.
Yeah, so she seems to at least be a horror fan. So at least there's that. Could be interesting to see a horror movie made from her.
Yeah, some of her early videos were kind of spooky.
Yeah, I remember her album cover was like kind of creepy. It had like, I think she was like, it looked like a ring face type thing going on there or something.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Slipknot is like to me the obvious choice because I mean they're kind of the one of the horror groups,
Right.
It's like Marilyn Manson or stuff like that. But I'm gonna go Eminem, and the reason I'm gonna go Eminem is for two reasons. One, he has a lot of horror references in his songs. If you listen to a song called 3 a.m., it's like all about horror references and stuff like that, and it's very good. And the first time I saw him in concert, he has like his birth house, because the album was he had like his birth house behind it, which kind of looks like a like a abandoned cabin, and he had that in the background, and he came out as Jason Voorhees, like but wearing overalls and with a chainsaw and shit like that, and he was making sparks and shit. And then eventually the cops like catch him during the concert, and he goes away, which is like his way of having like a little intermission. And then he got the electric chair, and then it like blew up, and then he dies. And then people like years later go to his house to see, like, to learn about his legend. And his house was like the Blair Witch Project, like but instead of handprints everywhere, it was like, "Hi, my name is," like, it's like,
oh, that's amazing. Actually,
that's fun. Yeah.
So I think he's obviously a horror fan, so I think he could do something really cool. And his one movie is actually really good. So yeah, that would be my pick.
Nice.
Next question is from Mondo. 24 hours to survive any horror villain of your choosing. Who do you go with?
I guess I would go Leatherface, because like he has no sort of like supernatural tendencies or anything like that. Just a normal guy. So I feel like if you can just kind of hide or fast enough, maybe you could survive it.
Yeah, that's a good one. And I feel like he's slow enough. I was thinking Michael would be pretty easy to survive too.
He has the supernatural tendencies though.
Yeah,
so
but if you just keep running and keep looking out, like I don't
teleports though.
He does not teleport.
Yes, he does. How did he get up? Like he gets places like super fast. Like he'll just show up out of nowhere.
No, he does not teleport.
It seems like it.
Freddy Krueger. I can stay awake 24 hours. That's not that.
Oh
bad.
yeah.
Like
easy peasy.
It depends which movie. I mean, he's broken rules before where he's like I was talking to Sam, like, because we're next week, spoiler alert, we're going to do a sequel because it's episode 222. And I was talking to Sam yesterday about Nightmare on Elm Street 2 and how they like broke the rules because Freddy comes out of the dream world, which is like why I really hate that one, honestly. So I guess it depends which Freddy we're getting.
That's true. So my alternate choice would be the shark from Jaws, and I'll just have drinks on the beach and wait. So wait it out. As long as I don't go in there, I'm all good. There's a lot of them, but some of them, like who do you absolutely think you wouldn't survive? Like which horror villain do you think you have the least amount of time that you're probably going to survive in?
I mean, probably if you're sleeping, Freddy, like 100%, he's gonna get you. Like, there's you can't escape him,
Right.
Jason, probably too, because like he definitely teleports like 100%. Like he just shows up out of nowhere. So I definitely don't think I would survive him either.
What about Sam from Trick or Treat? Would be hard because it's like you never know what it's going to be. Like it comes out of nowhere. I feel like
I just don't like every time like I hear Sam, like I just don't think of him as like a killer. Like I know he did kill that like one guy, but that's like the only guy we ever see him really like kill. Well, maybe he kills someone in the beginning of the movie too, but I just feel like we don't know enough about Sam.
Well, I think of maybe not think of him as like a killer, but like his universe. Like I feel like he's kind of in charge of everything.
Definitely, yeah. Yeah, he can get around too. We see he like climbs on fucking ceilings and shit.
He's so cute.
That's what's gonna get you. So you think he's innocent because he's small, but
right,
he'll fuck you up. Like what he did to that woman at the beginning was pretty fucking rough. Right. So yeah. And that's all the questions we got. So thank you everyone for the questions. We could not do the segment without you. And now little coffee break with Deadly Grounds Coffee.
Everyone thinks because you're a zombie, you don't know good coffee. Well, they're wrong. There's only one brew that gets my seal of approval. Deadly Grounds Coffee is my guilty pleasure. The aroma is so intoxicating. It brings all of my neighbors out of the woodwork. Deadly Grounds Coffee. Coffee to die for and zombie approved. It's good to get a little deadly. Use the front door! Oh, they're so disgusting.
Alrighty, what watched, ladies and gentlemen? So, Sam or Steve, what you guys been watching?
I don't think I have anything.
All right, Steve,
Right.
what you been watching?
Yeah, I'm just gonna pull it up here. 1 second.
Sure.
Do we have anything, Joe?
I got one. I mean, we get like non-horror stuff.
This is a horror podcast.
Sometimes people like to hear other stuff too. I guess if you got a suggestion for a show or something.
All right. So the first one I watched is a movie from 2014, and it is over on Tubi, and it's called Trophy Heads. So this is a full moon picture where a guy decides that he wants to own like different female full moon horror legends by chopping their head off and putting them on his wall. So the movie is about this guy trying to chase these female like horror like icons of the full moon catalog and try to build up his trophy heads. So it's really interesting because he kidnaps them and then puts them in jail. And these are all actual like actresses from Full Moon Pictures as themselves. And they have a lot of like crazy banter within each other. They like compare each other's films. They talk about stuff like Head of the Family and Evil Bong and so a ton of other stuff. Like there's Linnea Quigley in here. There's Robin Sidney in this. It's just Bring Stevens. Like there's a lot of the full moon kind of girls fighting over who's the better, I guess, full moon girl. And it also spans like different kind of generations. So you have like the older full moon girls kind of talking about the newer full moon girls, and it's a really interesting film. I really did not expect to like this, but I kind of enjoyed it. It's fun, has a lot of fun references to old films that I've seen. And if I'd watched this like even a year ago, I don't know if I would appreciate it as much, but I watch a lot of Full Moon Pictures in the last a year. So now I've seen a lot of these movies, and I would recommend it. If you like Full Moon especially, I say this is one to watch. That's Trophy Heads over on Tubi.
Nice. Always fun to have a good little full moon movie in there. All right. My first and only one really tonight is a 2022 release. Currently just available on VOD, no streaming services yet. But this one is an Irish horror movie called You Are Not My Mother. I heard a little bit of buzz about this one in some of the horror groups, so I decided to check it out. This one is about a probably like teenage girl who her mother, basically like her mother, I don't know, there's like something just off about her. Like she seems to be in some like deep depression or something like that. So she's running late for school. She asks her mother to take her to school. And her mom, slowly gets out of bed, starts driving her to school, and just like something's like, you can tell just something's like really off about the mom. And she almost drives the two of them into like oncoming traffic. In which case the girl like gets out of the car and is like, "Mom, what is wrong with you?" And she just walks the rest of the way to the school. She gets out of school, finds the mom's car with no one in it, and the mom has gone missing. So the mom resurfaces a few hours later, and she's completely different. And the rest of the movie kind of follows this teenage girl trying to kind of decipher what is wrong with the mother. And I'll leave it at that. This was like a really nice surprise, actually. I didn't know what to expect because the poster is like really generic, and I was like, oh man, like I don't know if this is going to be any good or not. But it was very, very well done. It has some like really genuinely creepy moments. Great atmospheric horror throughout. It's like, I mean, I guess it's a slow burn. But it's not really a slow burn. It's more just like a build. Like it just like, there's stuff like happening like throughout, like just like with the mom and stuff like that. But it's just like, it does a really good job of building up the tension and the dread on, for the scenes when it does hit and come. So yeah, I mean, I would recommend this one. It's definitely like top 10 in my top 10 right now. Will it stay there? Maybe, maybe not. We'll see. I mean, it's not going to be like top of the list or anything like that, but it's definitely worth a watch. It's also like a movie you can take a lot of different ways. It's definitely steeped in some metaphors and stuff like that. I think it would actually make for a really good discussion and whatnot as well. So yeah, check it out. You're Not My Mother.
All right, so my last one this week is another full moon feature that I watched over on Tubi, of course, which is from 1996, and it is Head of the Family. Because of Trophy Heads, they were talking about Head of the Family because the main actress in this one is one of the girls that's taken prisoner in Trophy Head. So I wanted to check this one out. I'd had it on my list forever, but I had actually never seen it. So in this one, these three kind of really weird people are hanging out in a town. There's this one really big, strong guy who like is a little slow. Then there's this really hot, like blonde girl, and then there's this really lanky, kind of weird looking guy. And they just kind of go about their business. They're very mysterious, and they get into it with somebody at a store because the guy's hitting on the blonde girl, and they kind of take it personally and stuff like that. So a bunch of stuff happens, and a guy ends up at that house having seen them kill someone or at least kidnap someone. So he writes a letter to his lawyer explaining everything that he saw, and then he goes there to kind of negotiate with them to get someone killed, and then later to get money like every week in exchange of him not like getting the lawyer to release this to the DA's office or something, by saying that if I don't call them at this time every week or go see them at this time every week, the information is going to release. So when he goes to the house, he meets the fourth member of this family, which is this just basically giant head on a super little body. And he talks about being like attached to his three other siblings, like kinetically, and this crazy ass adventure ensues. This is typical full moon of the 1990s. It's fucking crazy. The story is kind of weak, but I was entertained because the creatures are really cool. The head of the family is a really cool design. Like, I'm very impressed by how they did that character. There's a shit ton of nudity, so if you're into that, this is definitely one that you want to see. There are some gross parts, like the head of the family like licks a girl's tit and stuff, which is super weird. But I don't know. The full moon has a thing about having like weird stuff, kind of sexually assaulting women. Same thing in Reanimator with the head, and I don't know. I guess it's a thing for them. But yeah, other than it kind of being a really stupid story and never really goes anywhere, it's a lot of just conversations between Myron, the head of the family, and that guy or the girl. But still, I think it's an enjoyable watch and at least worth a one-time visit. So that's Head of the Family from 1996 over on Tubi.
Nice. I don't think I've ever seen that one actually. Alrighty. I'll have to check it out. But yeah, I don't think anyone else has anything this week. In non-horror, what watched, Sam and I started the show about Uber over on Showtime, which has been kind of interesting.
That's not what it's called.
It's about Uber, I said. It's called
that you said
Pumped.
it's called Uber.
Yeah, the show is called Super Pumped. And it's about basically the origins of Uber. And it's really interesting. I didn't really know all of the origins of it. So it stars Joseph Gordon-Levitt, which is Sam's boyfriend. So it's got a good cast. Yeah, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Uma Thurman, and all that. So yeah, it's been so far pretty good.
Yeah, and you also watched WrestleMania, right?
Oh
Yes.
my gosh, yes.
Sam watched some of it too, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
what did you think?
it was fun. I really liked it. Well, I only started watching it because Logan Paul was in it, and so I just wanted to see what that was like. And I was really impressed with him. Like, I feel like he should totally do more wrestling stuff. He did really good. He was like a great performer,
Mm-hmm. He did, and it seems like they're setting up another match with him and The Miz. So we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, it was just cool. I mainly watched it because I knew Stone Cold was coming back, and there was rumor whether he was actually going to wrestle or not, and he ended up actually wrestling and doing like a full match. And then apparently in night two, which I didn't watch night two, he he got into a thing with Mr. McMahon, who actually had a match apparently with like being like 80 years old or whatever. Which I can't believe he actually got in the ring and wrestled, but good for him. Guy still has it apparently.
Yeah, he was jacked. Like, I don't know if you saw pictures.
Was
of
he?
it, but yeah. But he took the worst Stone Cold Stunner maybe ever. Like,
I have to see it.
Oh my God, it's like Stone Cold is laughing. It's so bad. Like, it's so bad. But on the other end, Pat McAfee, who's like I think he's a radio host right now. He had a match too, and he's the one who ended up getting into it with Vince McMahon. He took probably one of the nicest stunners like ever.
Really?
So yeah,
Nice.
it's like, yeah, it's crazy. They had a lot of celebrity stuff. Logan Paul, you said, Pat McAfee's another one. They had the Jackass crew, like they had a match. Johnny Knoxville,
that's right, yeah,
had a match, and Wee Man like slammed Sami Zayn. Is like, holy shit, like it's definitely a spectacle.
Cool. Yeah, it was good. It was one of the better ones I've seen in a few years. So I mean, I'm not really don't really watch wrestling much, but I do always watch WrestleMania and usually Royal Rumble. I really like the Royal Rumble, so those are kind of the two I watch every year. But yeah, WrestleMania pretty damn good this year. All right, so are we ready to get into some horror news before we review Studio 666?
Absolutely.
All righty. Yeah, no trivia this week, guys, with Todd being out, but it will be back in a couple weeks because Todd will also be out next week as well. But yeah, we're going to be doing a sequel, so keep an eye out on the Discord for that. We'll have you guys vote on that. But all right, a couple of really big horror stories broke this week. Probably the biggest is the announcement of Pennywise returning to the small screen, as they have announced Welcome to Derry, which will be a TV series over on HBO Max. The series will likely explore the origin story of Pennywise the Clown, as well as the dawn of the 27-year curse that haunts the small Maine town. The project officially, apparently, like it's officially not like in production or anything yet, but the writer's room has convened on it. So I assume we'll be getting it sometime within the next couple of years. I haven't heard any news about whether, Bill Skarsgård will be coming back as Pennywise. I highly doubt it, honestly. But you never know, I guess. We'll keep you up to date on that. But yeah, any thoughts on this?
I actually think he will come back.
You think he's gonna come back?
I mean,
I haven't heard anything.
He was in that Stephen King show, like what do you call it?
Oh, that's right. Yeah, Castle Rock.
Yeah, that's right. He was in Castle Rock, and that seemed like a smaller project. He made, a lot of money and was definitely got a lot more famous by doing it. So I could see him coming back. And they kind of teased, a prequel a little bit in it, chapter 2, I believe it was, by showing pictures of him back in the day and stuff. So yeah, I think it'd be really cool, especially if he's involved. If he's not, it'll still be cool, but I guess I'll be less excited about it. But if it is, I think it'd be really fucking awesome.
Yeah, I guess, like, how could you not bring him back, right? Like, I feel like you couldn't do the show without him, because, like, if you have another actor portraying Pennywise, it just would be kind of weird. But yeah, we'll see. Because, I mean, Andy Muschietti and his wife Barbara, Andy, who, of course, directed, and Barbara, who produced, are coming back for the TV series. So I would assume they would have already kind of confirmed with Bill that he would come back for this. But also a little bit more about it. The series is supposed to begin in the 1960s, in the time leading up to the events of It Part 1. So that's really all we know right now. But yeah, we'll keep you guys up to date. Sam, what do you think about this one? You excited for an It return? I think she's on the phone. Oh, okay.
Talking to her agent. Why the fuck am I still on this? I quit last week. Right. Am I getting extra for these 2 episodes?
And so in other It news, actually, Screambox, which is the new streaming platform, has announced that they will exclusively be premiering the Pennywise documentary, which is called Pennywise, the Story of It. This is going to be a really in-depth look at the original It miniseries, directed by John Campopiano, who actually is like a really cool guy. I've actually met him before. He also did the Unearthed Pet Cemetery documentary, which I believe you saw as well, Steve. I believe you talked about it on the show before. It's a really good in-depth Pennywise documentary. I believe he's also working on a Jaws documentary as well. But this one is going to be really in depth. It's going to have a ton of interviews. He basically got like the entire original cast back, including Tim Curry. He even got Seth Green back. He got what's that girl from Ginger Snaps there? I forget her name, but
yeah.
yeah, but he's he's basically got the entire cast back. So I'm really excited for this one. It will be so like I said, it's gonna be running on Screenbox, which I don't see an official release date for it yet, but I'm sure it'll be popping up sometime this year. So keep an eye out for that for those of you who subscribe to Screenbox, which I believe is Bloody Disgusting's. I believe came
so,
out with that one.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I mean that's something I definitely want to check out. So I might have to just subscribe for a month just to check that one out. Yeah. Alrighty. In other news, Daniel Kaluuya, is that how you pronounce his name? Daniel Kaluuya. All right. Daniel Kaluuya has been announced he is going to be writing a thriller/horror movie for Netflix. So, of course, he will be starring in Nope coming up here, but Netflix has hired him to write a movie. The movie is going to be called The Kitchen. It will be set in London 2044, a future where the gap between rich and poor has been stretched to its limits. All forms of social housing have been eradicated, and London's working class have been forced to live in temporary accommodations on the outskirts of the city. The story will follow Izzy, a resident who is desperately trying to find a way out, and 12-year-old Benji, who has lost his mother and is searching for a family as they battle to survive. So sounds like a sort of dystopian future style thriller. But yeah, that will be coming in 2023. So keep an eye out for that. That's pretty cool. I like to see that. I mean, he's a great actor, and I'm excited to see what he does with writing. Alrighty, and next bit of news here is The Walking Dead has officially wrapped on its final season. Filming has finally finished up. Steve probably has more info on this of when the season is actually going to finish. So go ahead, Steve, take it over.
Yeah, so we're at the time we're recording, we're one episode away from the end of part 2 of the last season, which is a 3-part thing. So there are 8 episodes left after that, which should end around probably Halloween. I think the date was somewhere like right around Halloween where it would end, like the 29th or something. So that, it's definitely closing a chapter, but at the same time, like when a show is ending like that, usually I'd be like, oh man, that really sucks, because I've been watching that show like forever, but they're like fucking 4 spinoffs. So
yeah,
I mean, is it really ending? Like, no, it's just, I guess, the main line, but we're going to see a ton of stories. They already confirmed that there's a Negan and Maggie spinoff coming out, which is going to be like a 1 season kind of like 6-episode story, which seems to be what they're going to go into. Like, instead of doing seasons of stuff, they're going to go into like a set amount of episodes to kind of tell like a one-time story, which I like, because you don't want to stretch it out. And that's kind of what happened with Walking Dead, is they stretched out the comics a little too far. So I'm excited for the future of the show, but it's going to be interesting to see how they close it off. We already know Maggie and Negan are going to survive. We know Carol and Daryl are going to survive because they have a spin-off, and there's rumors Rick is going to come back, and it'll be exciting for Walking Dead fans, I think.
Mm-hmm. Is it a rumor? I thought like he's confirmed for the movies, like already.
Yeah, he is confirmed for the movies. I'm talking about the show, like the
show. Okay.
Yeah, there's rumors that he'll show up at some point to set up the movies.
Gotcha.
So I'm excited to see him again because he was my favorite, and I'm anxious to see how it ends. The problem, it's right now with 9 episodes to go, The Walking Dead is making the same mistake all these shows make, is that they're still introducing new people and new storylines this close to the end. And so many shows make this mistake. Like, the show's ending, close off the stories you have, don't start fucking making new ones. Don't introduce new characters, don't go into new territories unless it really, like, you need it to complete some stories. I think they should be closing the chapters, but we'll see how it ends.
Yeah, no, definitely. I find that interesting. I think I definitely would jump on for like a 1 season thing, like I feel like I'm too far gone to like try to catch up with the show at this point, but yeah, best of luck to that. I'll definitely check out the movies anyway. I'm sure we'll cover the movie because I feel like it'll be like a big thing, so we'll see. All right, in news, I don't think anyone saw coming or anyone was expecting. Dark Knight of the Scarecrow Part 2. 40 years later, after the original movie, we are getting a sequel. It apparently has already been made. It is going to be hitting on Blu-ray May 10th. So yeah, Sam and I actually watched the trailer the other day, and it looks like terrible, like just fucking absolute trash. I was like, why would you make a sequel 40 years later and just put out something this bad? Like, it looks like about as low budget can get. So I mean,
Garbage.
it looks pure garbage. So I don't know, like,
Literally, I'm
you
sure
know.
that they use like a Halloween decoration of like a ping pong ball that's supposed to be an eye, and it falls out on someone's shoe, and it's literally a
Yeah,
ping pong ball.
it's really
Like,
bad.
how
Yeah.
dare you? How dare
Yeah.
I can't. I'm so upset.
Yeah, Sam is like one of the. I know Todd didn't like it. I don't know. Have you seen it, Steve? The original
I
Dark
haven't.
Knight of the Scarecrow. Yeah, I haven't either. I know Sam's a big fan of it though, and it's considered one of the best made-for-TV like horror movies like ever made. I'll have to check it out at some point, but it's just like so bizarre that they would choose this property to make something 40 years later and to honestly just kind of like spit in its face. Like, I'm telling you, if you go and watch this trailer, you'll know what I'm talking about. But
I
if
saw
anyone does
a
want
double
to
feature for our podcast.
yeah, right. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, it's coming out soon, May 10th. So that could be a good one to do. But yeah, so anyone that doesn't want to check it out, Blu-ray, May 10th. And in our last bit of horror news tonight is the other massive story that came about this week. Another one I don't think really many people saw coming is The Crow is coming back with Bill Skarsgård to star in the lead role of Eric Draven. Yeah, I mean, I think this is a much better choice than the Jason Momoa Crow movie we were originally supposed to get. This seems like a much better casting choice. But yeah, so the Crow is set to actually no other information really besides the casting of Bill Skarsgård here. But I know that the original writer is coming back to produce this at least. So yeah, yeah. Anyone else thoughts?
It was great. So hopefully it's a lot like the first one and not a lot like the sequels. I didn't really like the sequels. I don't know if you guys saw them, but
No.
I think he could make a good Eric Draven. I think he has the acting chops for it, and I'm excited to see what he does with it. So yeah, I'll watch it.
I'll watch it too. And I actually haven't seen the original, I don't think, unless I saw it when I was a kid. But I'll have nothing to compare it to. So I think I'll like it either way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and actually, I do have a little bit of news here. So the project is well into pre-production, and they plan to start filming in June with a budget of $50 million. So, yeah. So
Good
we'll
budget.
keep you up to date on that. What? Yeah, good. Yeah,
It's a
definitely
big budget
very
for
good.
a horror film. Yeah. Like usually, even the biggest horror films are like 10 million. So, yeah.
Yeah, and then also they got producers, a few producers from Resident Evil and the Silent Hill franchises on board, as well as a Guns Akimbo producer, which Guns Akimbo is a great movie, by the way. If anyone never seen it, not horror related, but fun, definitely a fun movie. But yeah, so so Skarsgård I think can definitely pull this off. I mean, obviously, no one's ever going to top what Brandon Lee did or anything like that, but I think it'll be in good hands with him. He was great. No one thought he could pull off Pennywise the way Curry did, and some people think he surpassed Curry as Pennywise. So we'll see how he does taking on Eric Draven. And yeah, so that is it for horror news this week.
One last thing I do want to mention, actually, speaking of The Crow, coming up very soon, we're getting the new season of Cursed over on Shudder. I really love that show. It's super interesting. So, I'm sure we'll talk about it during the month. I think it's this month in April. And I'm psyched. If you haven't watched it, they covered The Crow, they covered Poltergeist, I think they covered The Exorcist. Maybe not. I might be thinking of an Exorcist documentary, but definitely check it out. And I think it'll be a fun season of hearing all the great stories and crazy stories and sad stories about horror films. So pretty cool.
Yeah, no, definitely. I'm excited for that. Season 1 was really cool, so I'll definitely be checking that out. Alrighty, you guys ready to get into some Studio 666?
Do it.
Alrighty. All right, Studio 666, a 2022 release directed by BJ McDonnell, starring all of the members of the Foo Fighters, along with Whitney Cummings, Will Forte, Leslie Grossman, and Jeff Garlin. So basically, this one is about the Foo Fighters, who are going to be filming their 10th studio album. They don't want to make the album in, a regular studio anymore, so they decide, let's go do it in a house. We'll go find a house. Little do they know that this house is basically possessed by something, some sort of demons or something like that. And basically a demon possesses Dave Grohl, and hilarity and insanity ensues from there. And that's basically, I failed to mention Jenna Ortega also has a nice thing in this, as well as a great cameo, which we'll get into, I'm sure, by John Carpenter, who also scored the movie, interestingly enough, as well. So there's definitely some fun to be had here. Sam, you want to start us off? Let us know what your initial thoughts were about this one. And are you a fan of the Foo Fighters?
Definitely a fan of the Foo Fighters. So I was looking forward to this. I don't know. I feel like maybe it was Todd he wasn't looking forward to and didn't want to watch it, but I was like, they do such cool music videos that I feel like a horror movie is right up their alley. So I was really pumped for this. It was a good watch. I will say I loved that Whitney Cummings was in it. The John Carpenter cameo was a good surprise. The only thing, it was just way too long. Like, I was so bored because it was so long. I was like, all right, we fucking get it. But the acting's not the best, of course. Literally, they're just playing, they're just themselves, just doing like improv, line reading, whatever you want to call it. I loved though when they were like jamming. That was like one of my favorite parts, just hearing their music and watching them play their guitars and the drums, and Dave Grohl is a babe. But my only complaint was that it was just too long and I was like itching for it to be over with. I kept asking Joe, I'm like, when is this gonna end? But it was fun. I mean, what I expected. If you're not a fan of the Foo Fighters, I don't think you should watch it because you'll probably hate it. And I don't want to hear your negative feedback. So save it for some other person because I'm not here for it.
I hate the Foo Fighters. They're terrible.
Really?
No.
I was like, wow.
No, I actually really like the Foo Fighters. I'm especially a fan of Dave Grohl because I grew up with Nirvana. That was one of my favorite bands growing up. So I was psyched to see this, when I think Joe brought it up. I'm like, I'd definitely review that. Unfortunately, I wish it was under better circumstances. We're doing it because the drummer Taylor Hawkins passed away. But still, I'm happy to watch this. The best way I could describe this film is if a group of amateur filmmakers made a movie with their buddies, but their dad gave them a big budget for it, and that's how this movie felt. It's like a group of buddies were just having fun, and you get both the good and bad of that. The bad being the dialogue is terrible. The story doesn't really make sense. The acting is atrocious for most of it anyway. But the horror is actually good. Like, I really liked a lot of the horror scenes in this. It had memorable kills. It had kind of scary demons. It had good atmosphere. I wasn't prepared for how good the horror would be in this. That's not what I expected out of this. And I was pleasantly surprised. There were some really random fucking scenes in this. John Carpenter making a cameo, but even more so, fucking Lionel Richie making cameo out of nowhere as Dave Grohl is singing "Hello." It's so random, but I love stuff like that when I get surprised. And I think the biggest issue is what Sam said. It's too long. A movie like this really should have stayed at like maybe an hour 15. Just kind of get the story going and then go right into the horror. But you spend a lot of time just hanging out with the band as they're talking, eating Doritos, because this movie is obviously sponsored by Doritos. You see it all the fucking time. But overall, even though it was kind of a bad movie, I really liked it.
Yeah, I mean, I echo like a ton of what you guys just said. I am a big Foo Fighters fan. I've seen them live a few times. They always put on like a kick-ass show. Just like, I'm a huge Dave Grohl fan as well. So I was really excited to check this one out. And yeah, I mean, it's a mixed bag, you know. And it's like, to be fair, it's like not really a movie. Like, I mean, it really is just seems like just, you know, the Foo Fighters wanted to fuck. And they, you know, I even watched an interview with Dave Grohl who said like, we weren't expecting this to like be like anything. He's like, I wrote this movie. He's like, we were just gonna fuck around, like, and just kind of make this movie. And then like producers started coming in. He's like, and then like it just like spitballed into something we were not expecting. He's like, I remember we were watching back like the dailies. He's like, oh my God, this is like a real movie that's actually happening here. So yeah, I mean, you know, it's like you can't really like fault them that obviously they're like a huge band and people wanted to be like that were kind of like, yeah, I feel like this should have been like a 30-minute short, like, right, that they like released on YouTube or something like that. But instead it got like just, you know, too big, and they ended up man, I cannot believe this movie's almost 2 hours long. It's like it's like, what the fuck? Like that's the biggest fault of this movie is that it's, you know, it's an hour and like 48 minutes long to be exact, and it's just too goddamn long. Like it would have been like such a fun little short. But instead, like, you just get a lot of like repetitive scenes, like of them just kind of like playing like instruments and stuff like that. And like, hey, maybe if it was like a Foo Fighters concert and they played some songs or something like that, but instead it's just kind of them like jamming and shit. And it just, you know, after a while, it just kind of gets old. But like Steve said, I mean, man, the practical effects are fantastic in this. There's just like all the kills are really like inventive and cool. And yeah, I mean, you know, the bits of comedy here and there do work from time to time, but you know, like I was even reading today that Taylor Hawkins, he improvised every single line in the movie. He did not go off the script or whatever. He just kind of, so I mean, you know, you kind of gotta know what you're getting into here. I think if you're a fan of the Foo Fighters, I would check it out. Otherwise, I think you can skip this one and you're not going to miss much. I appreciated, there's a lot of nods to like horror movies here. You get a nod to The Exorcist, you get nods to Evil Dead, you get nods to Nightmare on Elm Street and stuff. So, I mean, you know, there's definitely some fun to be had if you are just like a horror fan. Seeing Carpenter in here was great, and it scored great. Like, cause obviously Carpenter scores it, so I mean, there is some great stuff in there. But just, man, the length really kills this one for me, like a lot. It kills it a lot because it was like it felt like a chore at times to get through this. I ended up quite a few times actually checking the runtime like while I was watching it to be like, oh man, how much longer does this got? And I saw it had like 45 minutes. I was like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. What more can you do here? But yeah, I mean, yeah. So yeah, I mean, just the length kills this one, but everything, you know, it is so fun. Like I don't hate that I watched it, but yeah.
Some of the CGI was awful though.
Yeah.
Obviously, but
but they didn't over rely on CGI, which is surprising. They actually did a lot of practical, which was nice.
And I agree with Steve. I liked the kills; those were fun.
No, the kills are great. Yeah, because I mean that chainsaw scene with Whitney Cummings and one of the band members. I mean that was fucking awesome. Like I loved that. I mean, honestly, all of them were great, but that one just sticks out to me.
That was the best kill to me. I think.
Yeah,
it's just unexpectedly gruesome. Yeah, and there's some scenes in this. I was just like scratching my head, like what are they going for here? So there's a whole sequence where we see every band member, like what they do in their room. And it's so awkward. Like you have one like jacking off, you have one who's sleeping in the kitchen, and you know, it was just so odd. You know, but I don't know if it was like comedy or, man, they're just padding that runtime, just adding all this stuff.
Yeah. How long is the runtime for this?
146, I think, if I remember. Because I like Joe, I kept checking to see if it was over.
Yeah. Well, even before we started watching it, Joe told me the runtime, and I was like, I already started throwing a fit. I was like, why is this so long? Like, no.
Yeah, absolutely. Some of the notes I wrote about the movie. First, so is Jenna Ortega going to be in everything this year? Because I feel like she keeps popping up in every fucking movie. She's awesome. Like, she's great.
She's great. Yeah.
She's already like in 3 of my top 10 so far this year. So it's pretty impressive. The movie starts off really well. You know, you get a bloody kill like in the first 3 minutes, which is really cool. The house. So they go to this house. It's super like broken and dilapidated outside. but inside totally fine, which I thought was a little weird. I thought that was an interesting thing. The Krug haunting. So Krug is like a sound guy, and he gets burnt at some point by electricity, by very terrible CGI electricity at that. I liked his haunting. I thought it was actually pretty scary, especially when he haunts him in the room and stuff, and you first like his head kind of pops in there and he's got red eyes, and there's some like pretty scary scenes, like obviously, we're older, so we don't get scared by stuff like that, but I could see a kid getting scared by some of the demon eyes that keep popping up throughout this film, which I again didn't expect. I thought this would be more comedy than like straight horror, but they had some really interesting horror. What are some of your other favorite kills? I mean, we see almost every band member get killed, so.
Right. Actually, fun fact about Krug, he's actually the lead guitarist for the band Slayer. So for those of you who might not,
Nice.
Yeah. I actually, Taylor Hawkins kill, rest in peace to him, but his kill was great with the symbol going through half of his body. That was pretty awesome.
Yeah, I like that one too.
Yeah, the barbecue kill I thought was cool. Like you see his face like melting on the barbecue. It was pretty crazy.
What else was there?
There's one that gets run over by a truck. His face is like
his head
like explodes. Yeah, so that was another one. What else was there? There are a few of them. Like there are quite a few kills.
I think they were all pretty great. Yeah,
Jenna Ortega gets her head smashed in.
Like,
just bloody fucking mess.
It's wild.
Yeah, it's just they really went for it. Like they like, okay, how can we kill you in a way that is super impressive, and they did a really good job. And there's even gross stuff like the dead raccoon, like all sprawled out and on the wall and stuff. So yeah,
they like totally ripped off Evil Dead though, right? Like this is like it's almost like an Evil Dead fan film, like almost like
Evil Dead. Yeah, you have like basically a Necronomicon, like
Necronomicon. Yep.
But like you said, there's nods to The Burning, with
the
sheer kill.
Yep.
And even when we don't see that necessarily the kill is great, you see the body later, and it's all like there's that one guy who's like in the tree and all like decapitated and shit like that. And yeah, I know it's funny. And actually, as bad as most of the acting was, because I don't think the band members were all that good, Dave Grohl wasn't bad. Like I thought so.
Yeah.
So actually, he carries a lot of it.
Yeah, that's what I said on my letterbox. I said that I was like, Dave Grohl definitely carries this film. Like without him, like I feel like this could have been almost unwatchable. But Grohl, like he did a great job in this.
And it was cool, like Sam said, the music scenes were really cool because they're so good. Yeah. Like they're so good.
I know. So. Yeah.
Yeah, and you hear I guess one of their newer songs on the end credits, which actually was a good song. Sam was jamming out to it. Yeah. Sam, what do you think about your girl Whitney Cummings here, who's basically like the lead actress, I guess, in this one? Her and Leslie Grossman are like kind of the two other lead actors in this. So I know you're a big Whitney Cummings fan.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, it's your usual Whitney Cummings personality. So I feel like it was just watching her normal self. But yeah, I thought she was great. She always shows her boobs and whatnot.
She did. In that sex scene, which actually got a little graphic, I feel like, for like a sex scene between like a member of the Foo Fighters and Whitney Cummings there. Did you guys have like, besides Dave Grohl, did you have like a favorite other member of the Foo Fighters just in this movie in particular, like their character?
No, I feel like I don't know. I feel like they all hate being in the band, but they just do whatever he says. And I'm like, I'm sorry that he's one of the greats. Like, I'm sorry.
My guess is they probably didn't actually want to like star in like a full like length movie. They just kind of did it, but who knows? I mean, it seemed like they had fun though. I mean, it seemed like it was fun times that he had.
Yeah.
And they seem to get mostly equal time. Like, some get off a little earlier than others, but they all got like a good amount of screen time. So.
And they actually get killed, fun enough, in reverse order of when they join the band. I read that today over on IMDb.
Yeah, I saw that. It's I didn't realize that. So yeah, like I like the Foo Fighters a lot, like their music, but it's not like a band I know a lot about. It's one of those like. So what was the original? This is not the original crew. Like this wasn't just like a band the whole time, or.
Nah, I honestly, I'm not sure. I think like Taylor has been there since the beginning, and I believe Pat Smear. I don't know about everyone else though in the band. I don't know if they've come and gone or not. I'm not a big enough Foo Fighters fan to know all that, but
Yeah, like there's some bands I could tell you every like incarnation of them, but this one
yeah,
is not one of them. To me, it was always like the Dave Grohl band, essentially,
right.
which because I was such a big Nirvana fan was like a big deal when they first came out and stuff. So
Yeah, and actually, this week they just took it. They took it home at the Grammys. I think they won 3 or 4 Grammy awards, which actually they set a record for a group with the most Grammys ever now for like a musical group.
Wow.
So yeah, I mean, shout out to them. But
Yeah.
now we see what happens with the Foo Fighters. Sadly, obviously, with Taylor leaving the band, they canceled all of their tour dates. So I think their future is kind of in question right now. I hope that they continue to be a band and whatnot, but we'll see. I'm sure poor Dave Grohl, man, he's losing his lead singer with Nirvana and now losing his drummer. And that guy's just who seems like probably one of the nicest guys in Hollywood, or in music. I mean, the guy can't catch a break, sadly, but
yeah, absolutely. It's I was actually surprised by how small of a role Will Forte had.
yeah,
I thought he'd be, because he is on like the poster as if he has a big role,
Oh,
but
really?
he doesn't really appear that much.
It was a good enough role. It was like a funny small. I liked how he kept trying to get the mixtape out there.
Right.
That was great.
Which I'm sure is based on a true story type thing. I'm sure,
definitely, yeah.
Like Dave Grohl gets a million mixtapes and shit like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the life of I guess rock star, right?
Right.
What do you guys think about the end? Is it setting up a sequel?
I hope not. I don't think they need it.
I mean, the band is dead, but Dave Grohl seems to still have the demon in him. So
right.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we're gonna get a sequel. I'd be shocked.
Yeah, I gotta admit, I was a little confused by what was going on in the end there when like the producer shows up and a bunch of people just kind of make appearances, and then you have the old band, the Dream something, they come into it, and it became a little too complex for no reason to me. Like, do we need all this story to try to wrap it up? And even then they didn't do a great job at that. So that was, and by that point I was like, okay, I'm over this. You too. That probably didn't help the cause at all, but yeah, overall I think it was an enjoyable watch.
Yeah, I mean, we're it was what it was, so yeah. But all right, anything else before we rate this?
Nope, I think I'm good.
Alrighty, I'll start us off. Yeah, I mean, I think like we said, all of us echoed, the biggest problem with this movie is the runtime. Just like, man, it should have been a short, maybe an hour 15 at the very most. I think even an hour and a half, cut 20 minutes down, that's still too long for a movie like this. But there's fun to be had, man. There's great gore. There's like great practical effects here. So yeah, I mean, it's a mixed bag for sure. But I had fun with it. I don't regret watching it. I give it a 6.5.
Yeah, I agree with everything that's been said. It was fun. Like, if you're a fan, definitely check it out. I think you'll appreciate it, a fan of the band. But if you're not and you don't really know too much about them, I don't think that you'll enjoy it. But I'm going to give it a 6.8. What did you give it, Joe? 6.6? I can't hear you.
Oh, sorry. 6.5, 6.5.
Oh, 6.5. Okay. I'm gonna give it a 6.8.
Yeah. Like I said, I echo everything you guys said. I think it is an enjoyable movie. I think it's worth a one-time watch on a streaming service. I don't know if I'd pay to see it necessarily on VOD. Like right now it's $20 on VOD.
Oh.
So yeah. So maybe wait till it hits like Netflix or Amazon Prime or wherever it's gonna end up. But I still think it's a one-time watch, especially if you're a Foo Fighters fan. Then there's something for you here. So I'm gonna go right in the middle of you two, or close to it. I'm gonna go a 6.66 out of 10.
Very fitting.
Perfect. Yeah, very fitting. Nice. All right, well, that wraps up this episode, I guess. Make sure you stay tuned next week, episode 222. one day we'll get to episode 666.
Oh, we will.
And
In
we'll do
like
then.
10 years.
Yeah. But for episode 222, obviously we are going to be doing a sequel from a famous horror property. It is going to be selected by me, Sam, and Steve, because we will be Toddless again next week. So yeah, keep an eye on our Discord. And yeah, otherwise, make sure you join, like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, and rate us on wherever you get your podcasts over on iTunes or Spotify, whatever. 5-star reviews would be great. All right, we'll see you next week.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.